What if the one thing standing between you and the life you deserve isn't a lack of talent or a bad break, but the simple, brutal fact that you are giving your soul away to people who don't deserve it? Every single day, you leak your energy. You speak when silence would command respect. You react to noise when you should be building your empire in the shadows. You are scattering your focus across 100 useless opinions while your true potential waits, forgotten, in the corner. The ancient Stoics lived by a secret that separated the kings from the peasants. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't a complex ritual. It was a singular, quiet discipline that gave them an unshakable clarity the world couldn't touch. Today, you are going to discover the exact habit that changes everything. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you apply it, your life will shift faster than you ever imagined. Most people are addicted to the applause of the crowd, the validation of strangers, and the constant need to explain themselves. That is why they are trapped. That is why they are stressed. That is why they are perpetually powerless. If you are finally done letting the world pull you in every direction, if you are ready to stop being a reaction and start being the architect of your own destiny, then listen closely. You don't need permission to start, and you don't need to announce your arrival. You just need to master the silence. Let's begin. Pausa para análise e ordem para seguir. Topic 1. The epidemic of external validation, 500 words. We live in an age designed to keep you outside of yourself. Every notification, every like, every opinion thrown at you in the digital arena is a hook designed to pull your consciousness out of your body and into the chaos of the world. Most people are not living their own lives. They are living lives curated for an audience of strangers. You wake up, and your first instinct is to check if the world approves of you. You look for the red bubbles on your screen, the comments on your posts, the feedback from people who don't even know you. This is the first trap. When you outsource your self-worth to external feedback, you lose the ability to govern your own mind. You become a puppet whose strings are pulled by the moods and opinions of the masses. If they praise you, you feel inflated. If they ignore you, you feel diminished. This is not freedom. This is a form of soft slavery. The Stoics understood this danger better than anyone. They knew that the opinion of others is a preferred indifferent, something that might be pleasant, but something that has absolutely no bearing on your character or your true value. When you seek validation, you are signaling to the world that you are not enough on your own. You are telling your subconscious that your value is something to be granted by someone else. But look at the people you are seeking validation from. Are they living lives of profound wisdom? Are they masters of their own destiny? Often, you are begging for the approval of people who are more lost than you are. You are asking the blind to lead the blind. To break this cycle, you must practice a brutal kind of honesty. Ask yourself, if no one ever saw what I did, would I still do it? If the answer is no, then you are doing it for the ego, not for the mission. You are doing it for the applause, not for the progress. Real power is silent because it doesn't need to be witnessed to be real. A king does not need the crowd to shout that he is a king. He knows his authority by the way he walks, the way he decides, and the way he remains unshakable when the throne is threatened. You must stop asking for permission to be great. You must stop waiting for a pat on the back. When you let go of the need for external validation, you gain an immense amount of energy that you were previously wasting on performance. That energy can now be redirected into building, thinking, and executing. You start to reclaim the sovereignty that was yours all along. If this resonates with you, it is because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. The silent power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple. Will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today. Most people have a fatal flaw. They treat their goals like a public announcement. The moment a new idea enters their mind, a new business, a fitness plan, a lifestyle change, they feel a frantic, almost biological urge to tell the world. They post about it, they text their friends, they broadcast their intentions to anyone who will listen. They think that by telling others, they are creating accountability. They think that by speaking it into existence, they are making it real. They are dead wrong. In reality, when you announce your plans prematurely, you are leaking your energy before you have even begun the work. The Stoics knew that true power is held within. Think about it. Why do you feel the need to tell someone you are going to do something? It is because the brain releases a small dopamine hit just from the announcement. You get the pleasure of being seen as someone who has a plan without having done a single second of the actual painful labor. Your brain tricked you into feeling like you've already succeeded. Once that hit of dopamine wears off, the drive to actually do the work diminishes significantly. You have tricked yourself into being satisfied with the praise of others instead of the satisfaction of progress. This is a subtle form of sabotage. Every time you speak about what you intend to do, you are spending the mental capital that should be reserved for the execution. The silence of the Stoic is not just a lack of noise, it is a vault. It is a place where your intentions are protected from the judgment, envy, and skepticism of the crowd. When you keep your plans to yourself, the energy of that desire stays pressurized. It builds. It becomes a hunger that only action can satisfy. When you speak, you release the pressure, and the hunger dies. Consider the people who are actually changing the world. Do you see them broadcasting every move on social media before the foundation is even laid? Do they need the validation of a like to start their day? No. They are too busy building. They are too focused on the process to care about the performance. When you stop announcing your intentions, you stop being a performer and start being a producer. You start to understand that your vision is sacred. It is not something to be handed over to the idle curiosity of others. If you are currently waiting for people to support your ideas, or if you feel a compulsive need to tell people about your next big thing, you are giving away your sovereignty. You are letting the opinions of others infiltrate your vision. If they criticize, you lose momentum. If they praise, you get lazy. Neither outcome serves your growth. Build in the shadows. Let your results be the first thing people hear from you. The silence is your armor. It protects your mission from the noise of the world. Master the silence, and you will find that your output and your impact grows tenfold. Most people believe that freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want. They think that if they can spend, speak, and react as they please, they are free. This is a dangerous lie. If your impulses control you, if a notification pulls your focus, if an insult triggers your anger, or if a craving dictates your actions, you are not free. You are a slave to your own biology and your conditioning. The Stoics defined true freedom as something entirely different. It is autarkia, or self-rule. It is the absolute, unshakable sovereignty of the mind. To achieve this, you must understand the anatomy of your own consciousness. Your mind is like a walled city. Every time you allow the outside world to dictate your mood, you are leaving the gates wide open. You are letting the enemy, distraction, drama, and negativity march in and take control of the citadel. When you are constantly reacting, you are effectively letting other people live inside your head. You are spending your finite mental energy processing their agendas instead of building your own. Mental sovereignty requires a perimeter. It requires a decision to stop being a passive recipient of the world's noise and start being an active filter. This is where silence becomes your most potent tool. When you are silent, you are not empty. You are observant. You are watching the thoughts and emotions rise within you without being swept away by them. You are creating a gap between the event and your response. This gap is the only place where human freedom actually exists. Think about your average day. How many times have you been triggered into an argument that didn't matter? How many hours have you lost because you couldn't resist the urge to correct someone or justify your position? Every one of those moments was a loss of territory. When you remain silent, you refuse to grant the outside world access to your inner state. You declare that your peace is not for sale. You decide that your mental energy is too valuable to be wasted on things you cannot control. This is not about being cold or indifferent. It is about being deliberate. When you possess mental sovereignty, you become unshakable. When others are panicking, you remain clear. When others are shouting to be heard, you listen, you think, and you speak only when it serves a higher purpose. You realize that your mind is your only true property. Everything else, your status, your money, your popularity, can be taken away by fortune. But the ability to maintain your composure and direct your own thoughts, that is yours until your last breath. To reclaim this territory, you must practice intentional solitude. Even in a crowded room, you can be in a state of silence. You can practice mental detachment, where you observe the noise around you as if you were watching a movie. You are present, but you are not involved. You are engaged, but you are not attached. You are the observer, not the participant. As you strengthen this ability, you will notice that your anxiety begins to evaporate. Why? Because you are no longer trying to manage the external world. You are only managing your own responses. And that is a burden you can actually carry. You are moving from a state of victimhood to a state of mastery. You are no longer living for the world. You are living within yourself from a place of unshakable power. The world will never stop demanding your attention. It is a predatory mechanism built on algorithms and human psychology designed to fragment your focus and harvest your energy. If you wait for the world to calm down before you start building your masterpiece, you will wait until the day you die. True sovereignty requires a deliberate act of violence against the status quo. You must practice strategic isolation. This does not mean living in a cave. It means building a fortress around your most valuable hours. Most people treat their time as a public park. Anyone can walk in, throw trash, and demand a piece of their attention. You must stop this immediately. Your time is the only asset that cannot be replenished. When you give it away to a meaningless notification, a toxic debate, or someone else's crisis, you are not being polite or helpful. You are failing your own mission. Strategic isolation is the practice of protecting your creative energy. The Stoics were masters of this. Even in the heart of Rome, surrounded by the chaos of politics and war, they carved out the inner citadel. They knew that to think clearly, one must be able to escape the noise. You need to implement deep work sessions where your phone is not just muted, but gone. You need to create periods of your day that are entirely sacred. Time where no one can reach you, where no demands are placed upon you, and where your only obligation is to your own growth. When you do this, something terrifying happens. You face yourself. Without the noise, without the constant digital dopamine, you are left alone with your own mind. Many people fear this silence because it forces them to confront their own inadequacies, their own fears, and the reality of how far they are from where they want to be. But this is the exact pain you must embrace. That discomfort is the friction that polishes the diamond of your character. By staying silent and isolating yourself strategically, you allow your thoughts to crystallize into plans, and your plans to solidify into execution. If you struggle to find this level of discipline, it is because you have not been trained to manage your own interior. Our modern culture teaches us to be consumers, never architects. But you are here because you are ready to stop consuming and start building. Thousands of people have already walked this path using the framework provided in The Silent Power. This isn't just a book, it is a battle plan for the modern mind. Inside, you will find the specific step-by-step techniques to guard your mental perimeter, cut out the noise, and sustain the focus required to build your own empire. You don't need more motivation, you need a better system. The Silent Power gives you that system. The world is getting louder, more chaotic, and more distracting by the day. If you do not intentionally build your fortress of silence now, the noise will eventually swallow you whole. Get instant access through the first pinned comment, secure your focus, and start building your legacy today. Most people live with their eyes permanently fixed on the horizon, constantly scanning for what others are doing, what others have, and what others think. They are in a perpetual state of comparison. This is a fatal error in the architecture of a sovereign life. To master yourself, you must master the art of the internal gaze. You must learn to look inward, not just to introspect, but to audit your own character and your own progress with the same rigor a scientist applies to an experiment. The Stoics often spoke of the watchtower. This was a mental practice where you would mentally step back from your own life and observe yourself as if you were a stranger. When you are caught in the heat of a moment, when you are angry, stressed, or tempted to gossip, the internal gaze is what saves you. It allows you to pause and ask, is this behavior worthy of the person I claim to be? Most of the time, the answer is an immediate no. When you practice this, you begin to see your life not as a series of random events, but as a discipline. You start to notice the patterns of your own weakness. Perhaps you notice that you always react with anger when you are tired. Perhaps you notice that you seek validation whenever you feel insecure about your work. Once you see these patterns, they lose their power over you. You are no longer a victim of your impulses. You are a student of them. And because you are silent, you have the space to rewrite these patterns without the interference of the outside world. This internal audit is vital. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. If you are constantly seeking applause, you must admit it. If you are constantly leaking your energy through aimless conversation, you must own it. The Stoics did not shy away from their faults, they dragged them into the light of reason. They did not hide from their darkness, they faced it. When you focus on yourself with this kind of brutal honesty, you stop needing to pretend. You stop wearing masks for the world. You become a person of substance. This level of self-awareness is rare. In a world of superficiality, the person who truly knows themselves, their strengths, their triggers, their true desires, is a force of nature. They are unshakable because they are not surprised by their own behavior. They have done the work in the silence. They have faced the mirror. They know exactly who they are, and because of that, no outside opinion can ever hurt them. If you find this difficult, it is only because you have spent too long looking outward. The muscles of your internal gaze are weak, but they can be trained. Start today. During your day, intentionally pull your focus back to yourself. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this serving my purpose? Am I being reactive, or am I being deliberate? Every time you do this, you reclaim a piece of your soul. You move closer to the ideal of the Stoic sage, a person whose inner peace is entirely independent of the storms of the world. This is the ultimate form of power. Compreendido, Osvaldo. mantendo a voz de mentor estoico com autoridade profética. A linguagem é direta, desprovida de adornos, focada em converter o espectador de uma vida reativa para uma soberania silenciosa. A urgência é contida, mas firme. Aqui está o tópico 6, avançando na construção do seu roteiro. Topic 6. The Silent Language of Command. 500 words. Most people have been conditioned to believe that to command respect, you must be the loudest person in the room. They think that by speaking over others, by constant self-promotion, and by loudly defending their every move, they are projecting strength. This is a common illusion. In reality, the loudest voice in the room is often the most insecure. It is a desperate attempt to fill a void. True authority does not need to announce itself. It is felt. The Stoics knew that real influence is a byproduct of character, not a result of public performance. When you master silence, your communication changes entirely. You stop using words as a shield or a way to seek attention. You begin to use words as instruments, tools to be used only when they can convey truth, wisdom, or clear direction. When you do speak, people listen. They listen because they know you are not in the habit of wasting words. Your silence creates a vacuum of expectation. When you finally break that silence, your words carry a weight that a constant chatterer can never achieve. This is the silent language of command. It is the ability to walk into a room, assess the situation, and offer a perspective that is so grounded, so calm, and so deliberate that it shifts the energy of everyone present. You aren't manipulating them, you are stabilizing them. People are naturally drawn to those who remain unshakable in the face of chaos. When you are the one who does not panic, the one who does not rush to judgment, and the one who remains silent until the truth becomes clear, you naturally become the leader. Consider the dynamic of a crisis. Who does everyone look to? Not the one shouting, not the one who is spiraling, not the one trying to justify themselves. They look to the one who is still. They look to the one who is clearly in control of their own mind. By practicing silence, you are training yourself to be that person in every situation. You are replacing the instinct to react with the capacity to command. This is not just for leaders in business or politics. This is for your own life. You are the leader of your own destiny, and you must lead by example. If you are currently struggling to be heard, if you feel like you are being overlooked, do not try to speak louder. That is the path of the amateur. Instead, become more disciplined in your silence. Observe more. Listen deeply. Think before you open your mouth. Strip away the fluff, the filler, and the emotional outbursts. Let your presence be your primary argument. When you stop begging for validation through your words, you start demanding respect through your actions. The world may be full of noise, but it is starving for silence. Be the source of that stillness. Be the one who knows the value of a well-placed word, and the even greater value of keeping your own counsel. You will find that people begin to seek your opinion, not because you pushed it upon them, but because they have come to respect the weight behind your words. Compreendido, Osvaldo? Mantendo a voz de mentor estoico com autoridade profética. A linguagem é direta, desprovida de adornos, focada em converter o espectador de uma vida reativa para uma soberania silenciosa. A urgência é contida, mas firme. Aqui está o tópico 7, a conclusão definitiva do seu roteiro, consolidando a transformação e realizando a chamada final para o seu e-book. Topic 7. The ultimate victory is internal. 500 words. At the end of this journey, you must realize one final undeniable truth. The ultimate victory is not found in the world outside, but in the conquest of your own nature. Most people spend their entire lives trying to rearrange the external world to fit their desires. They want more money, more fame, more validation, and less conflict. but the world is a chaotic, uncontrollable entity. If your peace depends on the world behaving the way you want it to, you will be miserable until the day you die. The Stoic sage is not someone who has achieved a life free of problems. The Stoic sage is someone who has achieved a mind that is undisturbed by them. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you are not retreating from life. You are mastering it from the inside out. You are realizing that your reactions are the only thing you truly own. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, the opinions of others, the unpredictable turns of fate, the noise of the masses, you suddenly find that you have an infinite amount of mental energy to direct toward what is actually within your power, your own character and your own actions. Think about the life you are building. It should not be a monument to other people's expectations. It should be a reflection of your own virtue and your own discipline. When you walk in silence, you are not hiding. You are observing, planning, and executing. You are protecting the sanctity of your mission from the eroding influence of the crowd. You are becoming a person of such profound internal strength that external events lose their power to shake you. This is true power. This is the only kind of power that cannot be taken away by fortune, by critics, or by time. You are at a crossroads. You can continue the path of the majority, the path of the loud, the reactive, the fragmented, and the perpetually seeking. Or you can choose the path of the silent sovereign. You can choose to be the one who listens more, thinks deeper, and moves with a precision that scares the average person. You can choose to be the architect of your own peace. This transformation requires a system. It requires the right tools to break the old habits of reaction and replace them with the new habits of mastery. Thousands of people have already reclaimed their lives using the principles found in The Silent Power. This ebook is the roadmap you have been looking for. It contains the exact strategies you need to cultivate unshakable confidence, protect your energy from toxic people, and command respect without ever raising your voice. It is the distilled wisdom of those who have mastered their own minds. You don't need another motivation video. You need a change in your operating system. The Silent Power provides that upgrade. The life you want, the version of yourself that is calm, focused, and truly in control, is waiting for you. But it requires you to take the first step. Do not let this moment pass and return to the noise. Choose your sovereignty today. Get instant access through the first pinned comment, start your transformation, and become the master of your own destiny.